Court is in session. Ed Campbell, welcome.
What? In session? They're going to be so angry about that.
Yeah, I know, fuck them. You right?
Yeah, I'm perturbed. What's our position on nonces now?
There's no ambiguity there, Ed.
Well, you didn't say it for the first time.
I think the previous 140 odd times I've said it might have made it clear to the audience.
Well, they might be suspicious as to why you've reversed your position.
I think my views on podcasts and also nonsense are both quite clear and well stated repeatedly.
Yeah, well...
Eva, how feel you?
Don't feel me.
Doesn't make sense.
We'll let the audience decide.
I mean, it's brave from you to pursue that line of argument, to be honest with you, because I've never heard you say that you hate nonsense. Every time the intro, it's been you don't do it. You've never done it. So I'll be careful about implying that about me, because...
Who implied it about you?
You both just implied that I like nonsense.
I don't think that I was even speaking.
I think you guys implied I was a nonce yesterday.
Yeah, that's by the by, though, isn't it? All's fair in love and war.
We're quite cavalier with that, actually.
You fold your arms always like that.
He's giving himself a hug.
Like you're right up here.
It's comforting.
Self-soothing.
Yeah. I have to self-soothe in order to perform.
You think about your performance a lot.
Yeah, you have to be aware of the cameras not turning around. You can't have your back to the cameras.
It's difficult to perform when the camera's pointing at you.
Absolutely.
You have to let them know that you're filming, of course.
Oh my god. Yeah. Don't love this conversation.
Right.
How was Canvey Island?
Canvey Island, beautiful. What a lovely day I had in Essex's finest.
The Jewel of Essex.
The Jewel of Essex, by the water. Great to get off the mainland onto the island.
One of the worst islands going, would we say? Just because it's not...
Jeffrey Epstein's island.
Well, yes, that is indisputable. I meant more... I meant less from a moral perspective and more from a geographical one.
Or like from the category of island.
Yeah, because it's
it is
separated by a stream.
It's barely an island. You don't notice when you go onto it. You kind of cross a bridge that just looks like an A road, and then all of a sudden you're on Canvey Island.
Like the Isle of Dogs.
Yes.
Do they have... Is there a secessionist movement?
There's two independent parties that make up the local council. One is the People's Independent Party. One is the Canvey Island Independent Party. I don't think they're advocating for independent secession from the rest of
They're just
the UK.
independent political figures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if two councils in England to be made up entirely of independents?
What's the other one?
Great question. Guess. Isle of Wight?
Oh.
No. No way.
Isle of Man?
No way.
Entirely of independents.
Yeah. Oh, Tower Hamlets.
Ah.
Not as in a not national party.
Yeah.
Must be Tower Hamlets.
No.
I would back you on Tower Hamlets. Independent.
Hartlepool.
Yeah, I was thinking something like Boston or something.
Tice
Independent
done a runner, hasn't he, from Hartlepool? He's
What?
standing in Boston and Skegness now.
As a proud Hartlepudlian, he should be ashamed of himself.
Well,
Well, I liked it when we went to Hartlepool. It was a nice spot, wasn't it?
Yeah, Hartlepool was lovely.
So what did you learn in Canvey Island, Edward?
What did I learn in Canvey? So, Canvey is one of the safest of Tory seats. Their vote share at the last general election was 76.7% of the vote.
Those are Hall of Fame numbers.
Massive numbers. And while they're still projected to win, their majority this time is only going to be about 11%.
See, by anyone else's standards, that's pretty healthy, isn't it? But
Yeah.
in the context of...
A reducing majority like that. That's like Ben Houchen numbers of like reducing majority.
Still a big swing.
Still a big swing.
But even so, in all those graphics, you see where it's like Labour 550 seats, the Lib Dems 60, SNP 15, and then Tories like 6. Is Castle Point one of the 6?
Yes, I think probably. I think it was interesting speaking to people because they weren't enamoured. They didn't love the Tories, but they also didn't really love anybody else. They didn't particularly care for Starmer. So I've been to Canvey Island before, and someone there suggested voting for Labour just isn't what people like us do. It seems to be like, one woman spelled it out to me saying, we believe you should work, you shouldn't get benefits. It's like we're not like a statist, we're not statist people. And Castlepoint has only voted Labour in 1997, so one exceptional election, and it seems to just be habit. It just seems to be, we are going to vote Tory. There was one woman who came up to us, volunteered to speak to us, and kept insisting, I'm a Tory and proud. I wouldn't vote for anybody else. And then I was like, what are you proud of the last 14 years? And she said, how they handled COVID and the furlough scheme, neither of which were like conservative manifesto policies. But over the last 14 years, there wasn't any achievement in government that she could point to.
I think the furlough is actually pretty important, you know.
Yeah, but
I think there was sort of like
did it have an option?
No, sure, but I think there was like a joke when he announced it at the podium on a couple of days ago, that, you know, oh, do you know that guy Louis Staples on Twitter made a very good joke, which was like, that's like a guy reminding you of a drink he bought you, like.
No, it's actually your round now.
Yeah.
I'm collecting my debts, and you will vote for me in the general election. Remember that time I paid you 80% of your salary.
But I do actually think that's pretty important.
Well, they were trying to foreground that, weren't they? Like, he was in his announcement speech, he was very much, remember me, I'm Mr. Furlough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, can you?
I don't blame him for pointing at that thing, right?
He should call himself Mr. Furlough.
That'd be cool.
I got you paid to not work.
Mr. Not Smoking.
Yeah. Well, no. He's still Mr. Smoking. Big win for smokers.
Big Tobacco finally have the win they wanted.
Yeah.
Finally, the little guy wins.
Big Tobacco finally has the whip hand over the vape man.
You know how?
Do you know, that's actually a really good point. You should have so bought like stocks or shares in like Philip Morris or something, because that would have been if I was good at this market stuff, that would have bounced right back up today, wouldn't it?
Yeah, probably would have.
Are the markets open yet? How do I?
Broker? It's me, Ava.
Buy Philip Morris.
Ava, like on her calculator, just like doing sums.
What can I spare?
You know how whenever Starmer appeals to kind of do something like madly kind of right wing, and you're like, who's he appealing to? It's people in Castlepoint.
Right.
That's who he's trying to gun for.
Is it working with like?
I would say no. As in, there's obviously been a swing. So I suppose it's working in that sense, but I don't think it's going to be enough for these people, because I think they're inherently suspicious of the Labour Party, and they're unhappy with the state of the country, but they don't have the instinct or the inclination to move towards Labour. There was one woman I spoke to who was just fed up with everything that about the country. She has 5 kids, all of whom were wanting to move abroad. One of her children was a nurse who basically couldn't afford childcare.
Is she the problem?
I didn't put that to her, but one of her children is a dental hygienist. Spends £700 a month on childcare, and everyone's just looking to move abroad. She seemed to be culturally opposed to Labour. She doesn't like Starmer because she was like, he's a barrister, he doesn't understand hard graft, things like that.
That's exactly that, you know, because it was the barristers who took down Jimmy Savile, and he really pulled himself up by the bootstraps.
You're not gonna believe this.
Yeah.
She said, and didn't he work for Jimmy Savile?
Amazing. Fantastic.
That's what he's up against. That is like,
wow.
She was like, these people that he's trying to appeal to will never vote for you because they think you work for Jimmy Savile. There's nothing you can do for these people. And she was one of your lot. She was like, I'm going to try reform.
Stop this.
No.
You do it yourself.
I don't do it myself.
You do
it yourself.
I don't do it myself.
You join in the joke.
I officially take myself out of the joke.
Joke withdrawn.
Yeah.
End of joke.
Yeah.
Court is no longer in session. It's adjourned.
But that's like who. It's fruitless. It's actually quite degrading. Starmer's trying to bend over for these people, and they're like, "No, thank you. You work for Jimmy Savile. You stink of Savile, sir."
Oh my God.
But just as well when like Boris Johnson stood up in House of Commons being like, "You let what was it? You decided not to prosecute."
He accused
Jimmy
him
Savile.
of basically like letting him off, essentially.
And so that through a game of whispers, that comes out
Yeah.
the other end into
Well,
people that you worked for Jimmy Savile.
Do you remember when Johnson said that, and then I think it was about a week later, about 20 people surrounded him in Westminster?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? And
Yeah.
were like calling him a nonce protector and stuff.
Yeah. No, that was actually that was quite scary. He had to be escorted, didn't he, out of PCH?
Yeah.
He was getting a...
I don't know. It's. I understand it and I don't. Which is that if you want to be like, I was the director of public prosecutions, and Keir Starmer does want to be that guy. He talks about it all the fucking time. And you want to be like, I can smash the smuggling gangs because I prosecuted terrorists. I took down organised crime organisations. If you want to talk about your record as the director of public prosecutions, then people are going to say, well, what? Okay, so what about this case that you didn't prosecute? What about this? What about that? Like, it's an entirely fair question to say, well, do you want to explain what happened with Jimmy Savile then, mate? Now, asking that question and listening to the answer is different, and also possibly also plays towards a conspiracy. Would we call it a conspiracy? That Starmer worked for Jimmy Savile?
In what capacity?
Yeah, I'm trying to establish like if there's a degree of blame, or if we just have to say, oh no, like that woman is just dumb.
If you take the premise that when you're watching a television programme, you're the customer because you're being sold something, then anyone who ever watched Jim will Fix It worked for Jimmy Savile.
Anyone who watched when Louis Theroux met Jimmy Savile, you were complicit.
Louis does feel complicit. You can see that when he talks about it.
Right, can we come away from Jimmy Savile now? Can we talk about the election?
No. This is the Savile cast now.
Savcast. We needed a new name.
Yeah, we do. Let's not name ourselves after Jimmy Savile.
You know what? I just really want to tell this story, but I shouldn't. But I really want to tell it.
Tell it.
One time, there was a piece of audio that was requested at a radio station. You have to get random bits of audio sometimes, and this presenter wanted like a train announcement, something like that. Savile used to do Savile did the money off tickets, like travel by rail. The person who was asked to get the audio did not recognise the voice of Jimmy Savile and sent that through. And before anyone could do a catch-all and save it, it went out on air. So it was like coming up after the break, and then it was like Jimmy being like, "Take the train." And it was like,
Can you imagine everyone hearing it go up and like, what the fuck is happening?
Driving you think your radio's been possessed or
The
something?
disembodied soul of Jimmy Savile screaming from hell.
I screamed.
Can everyone hear this? Or is this just for me?
There was like, you could hear like people were either had gone white, people in positions of authority had gone white. Junior
so
producers were
good.
like,
We've only got you for 15 more minutes, Ava, so
yeah.
shall we do some news?
Yes. Was that not news?
Whether or not you could hear the voice of Savile screaming at you about train fares from hell.
That's the uphill battle for Starmer.
It is the uphill battle, yeah. It is the uphill battle. He has to convince the public that he didn't work for Jimmy Savile. I mean, that's a tough place to come from electorally, to be fair.
Because it shouldn't be a matter of opinion or debate. Because he
It's not
didn't.
true.
But just being like,
When will you publish your full CV?
oh, you could leave it off that.
Seems to be a huge gaping hole here. What were you doing between 83 and 87?
Labour, like putting up his uni friends being like, we were in Leeds. Yeah, sounds like it.
In Yorkshire.
Yeah, in
Yorkshire.
What, with Jimmy? No, we were at uni, for fuck's sake. Yeah. Poor bloke. Do you know who didn't work for Jimmy Savile?
Who?
Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Crombomble.
No, that is not a segue.
Yeah, it is. I just did
No.
it.
Segue.
I just did it.
No.
Yes.
He didn't.
Yes.
Jeremy Corbyn will run as an independent MP in Islington North.
No, see, now because you didn't do the segue before you said that, that feels disconnected.
Good.
Right. I like the idea
Intent
that
achieved.
we make the podcast so difficult to listen to that the audience just stops listening.
Like anti-R.
A constant stream of us screaming and giggling about one of Britain's most prolific sex offenders, followed by random headlines about the general election. Yeah, this is our format. This is unmissable.
It's
This
much,
is
it's much
appointment to
better
listen.
than the piss cast, isn't it?
I actually don't know if it is. I don't know if it is.
Speaking of a man who pisses, Jeremy Corbyn.
That's how you do it. Consummate pro over here.
He will run as a candidate in Islington North, independent.
Islington North.
Yes.
And-
There's the print the leaflets now.
Labour have not finished the selection process yet. There are 2 candidates who are up for the job.
Are they confident that they can win Islington North?
Well, so Labour left the selection process really late because what they were hoping for. So basically, what's been going on is that because Corbyn is still a member of the Labour Party, he has access to all of the constituency Labour Party materials, and so Labour were delaying because what they wanted was they didn't want to start the selection process and then sort of incentivise Corbyn to run as an independent. Corbyn also didn't declare himself an independent until now because otherwise he would have to give up his Labour membership in order to do that, right?
Because the second you start campaigning for a different political party, obviously you can't be a member of another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sort of like when like loads of Labour members in the 2019 election were saying things like, "Oh, I'm going to vote Lib Dem," and then the Labour Party shut them out, and they were like, "Once again, I have been locked out of politics." That is how it goes.
He's back in now, though, isn't he? Your dad?
Campbell?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
He's back in the party. It is insane. This isn't like a leader in the 80s or 90s. This is the last leader of the Labour Party standing at the next general election since he last ran as the leader, an MP, no longer representing the party.
It's been a long 5 years.
That's insane. I'm sorry, that is insane.
It
A
would be-
Labour man, 50 years a member. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't know why I'm interrupting you. Sorry. I just lost all social cues.
It's nuts. It's incredibly nuts.
How do you think he'll get on?
Interesting question. I think he could win it. Yeah.
He could fix it.
It'll be tight.
You've been the MP for somewhere for so long, but you're not just like a local fucking whoever, low level, not much of a national media profile, but a very good constituency MP that you do 40 years service and then clock out, and that's that. He's a very good constituency MP, but he's also one of the most high profile politicians in the country. So it's not like they'll look down the list and just see so-and-so independent and be like, who the fuck is that? They'll see, oh no, wait, that's the guy who's been the MP for the last 40 years.
And then you see someone whose name you know nothing about next to Labour.
There's a concern, I suppose, if you're looking at the locals or the mayorals and you're looking at Jamie Driscoll in the northeast.
Yeah.
He was very well known in the area and very well liked in the area. He got a considerable portion of the vote.
He ran them incredibly close.
Yeah, he did.
More than 30%, didn't he?
But he didn't win. So you would be looking at that and think,
I would say that if Jamie Driscoll can run that contest that close, being Jamie Driscoll, no disrespect to him, but
yeah,
he's not a politician of the same profile as Corbyn is. And if Driscoll can run the Labour Party that close from the left as an independent, I would say that indicates that Corbyn will win Islington North. But
let's think about the demographic in Islington North, because I know that typically, like, it's always at the butt of every joke, like, oh, all of the lovies live in Islington, Actually, Islington is one of the wealthiest constituencies in London, and it's got some of the poorest people in London as well. It's got like this, the divide is huge.
Would we call it a tale of two cities over?
You could. Tale of two boroughs, you might even. And the wealthier people who vote Labour because they're socially conscious might not want to vote for Jeremy Corbyn. They might want to vote for the Labour Party. And so it doesn't quite have the same grip as maybe if you were in somewhere like Hackney, like Diane Abbott.
I wonder what's going to happen with her.
Where she is as an independent. I would say that she has quite a good shot because of that. I can see that demographic aligning with Diane Abbott, because of the. So I'm trying to say this in I don't know why I'm trying to be polite about it. I'm basically just trying to say rich people who are socially conscious will vote for the Labour Party and Keir Starmer's Labour Party. If Jeremy Corbyn was running somewhere in Hackney, I could see him getting in quite easy.
I think there's something to be said as well that Corbyn will have to come up against the feel-good factor of sticking it to the Conservatives. As in how many people feel that aggrieved by Jeremy Corbyn's treatment by the Labour Party versus how aggrieved do they feel by the Conservative treatment of the country.
I actually think, I take your point, but I think if there was ever going to be a place where they would be aggrieved about his treatment by the Labour Party, it would be in his constituency.
I think it'd be interesting to have the feel-good factor of
putting the boot in.
Yeah.
Putting the boot into the Conservatives.
A lot of people would like him to have been mayor as well.
Maybe he'll do that next. He's getting on a bit though, isn't he?
It's quite high. 74?
There was YouGov polling as well that from August that showed that Corbyn's net favourability was about 5% ahead of Starmer. Be interesting to see.
What, nationally?
They poll it, yeah, nationally. No, sorry, excuse me, in London. But again, that's wider London. Islington is really like the place where you go to eat a very nice, expensive meal. You go to Pilates. No, but it is. It's not.
The theatre?
Yeah. And then on the other side of that as well, it's like.
Is it not where we podcast?
It is where we podcast.
Are we in Islington North right now? We're certainly kind of Islington.
I actually think we are in Emily Thornberry's constituency. That would
make sense.
Yeah.
I would buy that. Wait, there's an easy way to check. Shall we check?
In the meantime, Ava, tell me about what's happening with the Rwanda policy.
No flights apparently will take off, says Rishi Sunak yesterday. However, speaking to a couple of lawyers and refugee charities, some asylum seekers have actually received notice that they will be deported. And there is a preliminary talk of a flight scheduled for the 24th of June. So it does seem that Sunak is keeping his plan close to his chest.
His titties.
Those as well. It's possible that he would like to see 2 weeks out of the election or a week out of the election, a flight take off to Rwanda. So that would line him up nicely. You can see what the strategists are doing now. So they're thinking, flight off 24th of June. What?
You know how we say Sadiq Khan sometimes?
Yeah.
I was thinking, no, I just said Rishi's titties.
Yeah.
And I was like, what would it be? And the only thing I could think of was Rishi Boob Snack. I just started chuckling to myself. I'm so sorry.
Rishi Boob what?
Boob Snack. It doesn't even work. Rishi Sunakers?
There we are.
So as I was saying,
Yeah, please. Sorry, go on.
Rwanda on the 24th.
Yes. Final 2 weeks, less than to polling day.
Yeah, possibly Bank of England pull down the base rate. Then energy bills.
They might lose by only a majority of 200 at that point.
Yeah, but then the energy bill price cap comes in, so is lowered. So they'll be
122 quid down.
Yeah, but for the average household, so I mean, it's a lot of households are saving 20 quid. Do you know what I mean? What am I feeling, Rishi?
Oh, they won't notice.
Your big knockers. What?
So
Your Sue Honkers.
Sue Honkers.
Yeah, it's not good.
We'll get it. By the end of the election, we'll figure out what it is.
Rishi Sue Breast.
What's his middle name?
Patrick.
Roger. Do you think it goes better for Sunak if the flight takes off, or if a foreign court stops it from taking off?
I think that both are good for Sunak.
Either outcome.
Yeah.
It takes off or it doesn't. He benefits.
Think, well, in his mind, I'm not, for
Which
him.
is a weird place to be.
The foreign, okay, so if it doesn't take off, this is why they pulled it up early, right? Because if they got to October and they hadn't been able to get a flight off because of the foreign court, and they hadn't, Sunak is not going to take us out of the ECHR. They don't want to do that, right? But it's a really good carrot to dangle. If this flight doesn't take off, if you will let me back in, I will take us out of all foreign courts and then go like full speed culture war, right? But if they had let the election drag on until October, they would have possibly actually had to take us out of the ECHR, because you can't keep promising that. You can't keep, we're going to do it.
We've got to wrap it up. We're getting towards the end. 2 very important questions remaining. This one from the subreddit, Alarming Telephone 75, asked us, what policy or piece of legislation would you like to see introduced in the general election? The PoliticsJOE manifesto.
All party leaders have to campaign after getting a boob job.
Okay.
Just the men.
Is the best.
Just the men. Just the men. Sorry.
Right.
Do you think Rishi Boobsnack is the best one?
Okay, so I look, are we going to do some politics?
We've just done it.
No, it's Rishi Sunak.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay.
Final piece of discussion.
That's it. That's the only policy.
Yeah.
Nice. Build 5 million homes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think that you have to, I would make a policy that you would you'd make it near impossible for people to object to planning applications on brownfield sites.
Free cigarettes for every school child.
Come on, be serious.
Being a hippo.
That would be awful for the stock price.
You started off well with your suggestion that every male politician should have a boob job, but that is just impractical
Beyond
and
the pale.
ridiculous.
Right.
The backlog gets worse because of all the men getting boob jobs.
NHS mandated boob jobs. It's only day 2 of the election, Ava. You told me I had you until 9:10. There's 90 seconds left.
I didn't realise I was like charging by the hour.
You're on the clock right now. Do you want to do Peep
Do you
Show?
know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
Yes, let's do Peep Show.
Mark in Peep Show.
yeah.
Labour or Tory?
Lib Dem.
No way.
He is. He's white toast, brown toast. He's a Lib Dem.
He's too jaded to be a Lib Dem. I think Lib Dem has like an optimism to it.
I think I think he is adjacent to that though, because he's a
Too
he's a
depressed.
bureaucrat.
I think he's too.
Change UK.
Yeah. Yeah,
He's like a militant FBPer.
he once met what's his name? Oh God, who was the guy who was in Change UK? He went from Labour.
Chukwuemeka.
He once met Chukwuemeka in Clapham Infernos and actually thought he was all right.
I think he's like a David Miliband Labour.
Oh God, you're so right.
Like
Yeah.
that era.
Yeah, he is that guy.
He's so like new Labour coded. And like, if only David Miliband had taken over instead of Ed,
Yeah,
then we'd be living in a utopia.
we're gonna have to draw a line under it there because there's only 5 seconds left before Ava has to go.
Can I make a point about that meme? Sorry.
The meme from podcast Secrets of the Pharaohs, that Twitter account. Yeah,
Which is like, it's like a tier list suggesting
Yeah.
where it says Johnson would be a
Tory.
Tory. I disagree. I think he's Labour now. After all the work that they've done to court business, you're saying Johnson hasn't gone over.
that's interesting.
The point that I wanted to make today on the podcast, which I have not been allowed to make because you were talking about Rishi Sunak, was
I like how you you make out that we like lower the tone of this thing. You are as guilty as we are.
You said actually the most outrageous things on this podcast.
You do.
but I don't. It doesn't take me half an hour to do it. I don't.
We once interrupted the podcast for you to find a dick pic to show us.
That wasn't inappropriate. That was a serious political point.
But it was like
That people
2
are
minutes
sending
of
their
searching.
penises. It's called cyber flashing, and it's actually serious, Ed.
Would we call them penises or peni?
I have to go now. Okay.
Well, we
It's a prop! There's nothing in that! This is the whole thing staged! This is a script!
you could talk about that tomorrow. Oh no, not tomorrow. Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay.
Can it wait till Tuesday?
Well, it won't be interesting then.
What?
Say it
That's
now.
fine.
No.
Say it now.
Don't fucking worry about it.
Say it
okay?
now.
Look, I just thought it was interesting.
What is it?
Say
that
it
one of the
now.
committees has written to Rishi Sunak today to warn of state intervention in the foreign intervention in the general election, and they're pointing towards something the Electoral Commission said about political donations. I thought that was really interesting.
They're crowdfunding for the boob jobs.
Right, I'm going now. Okay.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
That's okay. See you later.
I think Ava's quit.
Oh, she'll be back.
You sure?
Yeah,
I'm not.
She'll be back. She'll be back. Should we carry on? You wrap it up?
We can.
I wonder if when that select committee says foreign interference.
No, you're not.
Journey well.
Have fun.
Safe travels.
Okay, she's gone. We can talk about it now.
Could you imagine if we just did like the most intense, like hour-long, discursive, like theory-based
Yes.
breakdown?
Yeah.
Oh, and now we're joined by Rishi Sunak.
Sir.
And we don't mention the fact he has no tits once.
Is that a new bra, Prime Minister? He's not wearing a top. Is she back in?
Is it Ava?
Hey, Cleo.
Hi, Cleo. Hi. That's okay. Don't worry. I think we're done. Or do we want to keep going?
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I was just going to say that when people think about foreign interference, they immediately go Russia.
Yeah.
But it would actually be quite funny if Biden was like, no, like the vassal state is getting a bit too democratic and just wants to, and just goes full responsibility to protect and just sends in the fucking GIs to monitor our
He wants
elections.
to take the oil in the North Sea.
Yes. I mean, there's a lot of oil up there.
Yeah.
Black Hawks in Aberdeen.
It'd improve it, if anything.
Paul Joe's war on Aberdeen
If
continues.
they've raised Aberdeen, no one would complain.
Was it you that pitched going to Aberdeen yesterday? No, it was Ava.
I was out yesterday.
You were. Canvey Island,
In the field.
as discussed.
Yeah. Was there anything else about Canvey Island?
Now's your time to talk about it.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
But I think places like Canvey Island are lost cause for Labour.
That's the kind of insight you get on Politics, Joe. A seat with a 72% Tory vote. Don't think Labour are going to win there, guys.
You sent me there. Shut the fuck up. You can't get me to do work and then insult it.
No, it's interesting to like take the pulse of the Tory party. But I'm saying the analysis that Labour can't win there.
What did you expect? You can't just be like performatively like contrarian. I'd be like, actually, I think it's going to be a 15% majority for Labour. Actually, there's going to be, and like, what's that?
Are you doing an impression of me right now? Is that who I am?
Hey, that's how you sound to me. Actually, excuse me, caller on LBC. You're a racist. God, we couldn't let you near Canvey Island. You'd be fucking accusing them of everything.
Fuck's sake. I liked it when Eva was here. Are we done? Everyone happy?
Yes.
Sean, you happy? Yeah. Laura? Yeah. Cleo?
Yep.
Shawnee?
Yeah.
Right, let's wrap it. Let's wrap it up. Always wrap it up.
What's your favourite rap song?
That's an interesting question, isn't it? See, if I was to answer truthfully, I'd talk about Kanye West. But I'm already I'm already in very dangerous territory right now. I feel like that's one for the watch along.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one for our next 200th episode, which will probably actually fall during the general election campaign.
It'll be like a Wednesday. We have to be like 4 hours drunk.
Which, if anything, the sensible thing to do would be to talk about it now as a soberman. But I'm going to opt for talking about it when I'm drunk. What could go wrong?
You could parse them. I think you can have a favourite rap song and also a favourite Kanye West song. And then we could talk about our favourite Woody Allen films.
I actually really love the music of The Lost Prophets.
That's so bad.
I thought we could separate the art from the artist.
No, we've already had this discussion. Their art's not good enough. Their art's not worth separating. You can't do that.
Where's the line for you?
Like, whose art is just good enough to separate?
You strike me as a Michael Jackson guy.
A Michael Jackson guy?
Yeah.
That's a horrible thing
You
to
know
say.
how sometimes like you'll just end up with like a Friday evening, like maybe some plans fall through or whatever, and you're just by yourself. Now, you know, I'm going to cook myself a really nice dinner. Just going to like maybe crack open a nice cold one. Whatever.
The way you make me feel.
Yeah, and then you just like, nice, going to turn up the boombox, going to turn up the speaker, and then doom, 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 and you're like fucking in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh! Just having a nice shmoo.
That's you.
That's me. I think you've described a personal experience that you're projecting.
Sounds very specific, Ollie, actually, as a matter of fact.
I think Nelly just shy. No, R. Kelly.
Whoa.
Excuse me. R. Kelly. R. Kelly just shy.
I like also that I'm like, no, don't libel Nelly as if like Nelly is fucking listening to the podcast, or anyone associated with him listens to this podcast.
I kind of think because all the kind of the mid people, you wouldn't really know about them being
R.
cancelled.
Kelly, not worth it.
But like,
And I like some of R. Kelly's songs as well.
But like,
doesn't justify it. Oh shit.
Elvis, like grooming a 14-year-old. Bless you. Ollie just sneezed.
I didn't sneeze actually. I held it in.
Oh, sick, man. It's class. Elvis, you can
See that?
That's
What was Elvis's crime?
his wife. He met his wife when she was like 14.
Yeah, that's bad.
So did the King of England. What?
Whoa. Quit that chat back there.
Was that? Oh, was that a rude Irishman?
You take my king's name out your fucking mouth.
He didn't date Diana when she was 14.
No, because they call it courting, don't they?
But he also didn't do that, to be fair.
Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
They were on that bullshit.
Bill Wyman.
All of those rock stars were on that bullshit.
David Bowie.
100%.
Yeah. It's really great. The permissive cult.
Do you remember that?
Sorry, have we talked about my
I love that we're doing this, by the way. I fucking love
This
that
is a
we're doing
bonus.
this.
Two boys hanging out.
Just guys being dudes.
this
Happy
is what-
Friday, people.
This is what microphones were invented for.
Two white guys and a podcast. Rock on, brother.
We're talking about France's permissive sexual culture,
Yes.
as we do often here. As we do often. We've talked about.
Would we call incest permissive? What? That's illegal.
So, but I was talking. My flatmate was telling me basically because the Nazis were so repressive, and like kind of any like social like any kind of social liberalism, the reaction has been if you try and infringe on someone's sexual freedom, people are like, "Wow, you're being fascist." Well, you can't. Whoa, I'm not. You're calling me a paedophile? How fascist of you? it's actually against my rights as a free Frenchman.
As a freeborn Frenchman.
Yes. You told me that. He did. No, both of you did. But I forgot about your bit, Laura. Sorry. Thank you.
Shameful. Stolen valor for your flatmate there.
Yeah, sorry.
Stealing Laura's talking.
His name is Joe. What a coincidence. Anyway. Sorry, Laura.
What was I going to say? Do you remember that Rolling Stones album cover? And it's just a close-up. I think it's Mick Jagger, but it might be one of the other ones. And he's... No, wait. That's Led Zeppelin. There's an album cover, and it's just a close-up shot of a man's crotch, and he's wearing like 60s or 70s, the tightest jeans you have ever seen. And it is just the outline of his cock and balls. What is the name of that album?
I don't know the name of that.
They also released an album called Sticky Fingers.
Yeah. Is that?
Maybe it's the same one.
Do you think that's egregious?
It is. It's the same. It's the same album.
Oh,
Sticky Fingers. Can we put this in the podcast?
probably.
I mean, look at that.
Oh, you can. I've never noticed that before. What? I don't.
We can put the album cover in. We can drop it into the edit here right now, can't we? Or we can leave the audience to. You're maintaining that when you look at that picture, you don't notice his penis.
I think I've glanced at it for maximum half a second at any point.
I would say it makes up about half of the album cover.
That's an exaggeration. It's mostly of the jeans.
Well, the audience can come to their own conclusion.
That's insane. I didn't know that. Do you have any pop culture recommendations for the audience?
How else can we make this go on longer?
Do you have any pop culture recommendations?
I'm kind of out of the culture at the moment.
Out of culture?
Yeah. So I don't know. What are people watching recently? Baby Reindeer.
It's a sleeper hit. Please welcome Martha.
I've actually been getting into avant-garde cult cinema. A couple of films recently. Avatar. Little known director called James Cameron.
I did the film module at uni, and we had to watch Avatar for it, and I didn't watch it because it's 3 hours long. And
Rebel without a cause.
And someone in my class said it was like his favorite hangover film, and I was like, that's a mission to watch Avatar.
Yeah, but also minimal involvement because you just have to press play once on that motherfucker, and that's the next 3 hours taken care of.
Yeah, but I think that's committing to something for 3 hours like that.
That's actually kind of what I want to do when I'm in that state. I just want to lie there, not have to do anything.
3 hours is too long. 2 hours and then have a shower.
Sorry. When it's hungover, he has to shower every 2 hours. Well, that's another 2 hours gone. Time for my shower.
I'm covered in this kind of mucus. I think I might be allergic to alcohol.
You're profusely sweating. So much stationery, just sat there like buckets of sweat. Got to wash myself off again.
Oh, it's time. Anyway, but can you pause Avatar, babe?
I could never watch Avatar hungover because I would have to shower halfway through.
A tight 90 minutes. I've got half an hour to spare. I can watch an episode of The Simpsons.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think he was going to be angry.
Should we see if she listens to it?
Yeah. What's Keir Starmer's boob's name? Sorry, guys, this is going on so long. This is so self-indulgent from us.
I kind of like it, though.
Yeah.
What would Keir Starmer's boob name be?
His middle name's Rodney, which is very funny.
I do like Rodney as a name. I like Roderick as well.
Keir
boobs. I've got it. It's Keir boobs.
I can improve it. Keir Starmer is now known as Tits Boobs. Mr. Boobs, a question. A moment of your time, sir.
That's tits to you.
What was it you were doing for Savile?
For God's sake. We'll figure that one out.
Yeah.
The best we have so far is Keir boobs. That's terrible.
Richard Tits.
That's actually quite good.
Yeah, that's good.
We could have like a polling day graphic. You know how the exit poll drops.
I wouldn't publicise this joke outside of this podcast. I'm not sure this would go on any official channels.
Let's wrap it up. We can revisit this on next week. Take the weekend. Everyone has homework. Go home. Come up with boob-based nicknames for all of the party leaders.
Well, that's an order.
That is a direct order.
Yep. Or you're banned from watching the podcast.
We actually have an interview series coming out over the course of the election. And my first question to Peter Hitchens when I interview him next week.
Peter Hitchens, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. When I speak to Peter Boobs Hitchens. Is I will say, who do you prefer, Richard Tits or Richie Boob Snack? Oh, can you imagine what this is going to be like by the end of the campaign? We're on day 2.
Okay.
This is day 2.
Keir Rodney Starmer. Keir Rod double D Starmer. Does that work?
No, it doesn't. It's better. It's better. It's better than Tits Boobs, but it's not.
He meets Biden, and Biden's like, Prime Minister, why did they call you boobs?
Yeah. Joe Biden and Nelly both listen to this podcast.
Together. Yeah.
Together. We should really finish.
Yeah. I've got nothing else.
Yeah, you
Spent.
Sure? You spent.
Yep.
And I'm spent. Okay. Have a lovely weekend.
Yes, do.
Leave a review of the podcast.
Yes, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Write a comment.
Let us know if there's anything you want us to cover. Not anything. Anything sensible.
We've just demonstrated.
We can be trusted.
You have just offended the audience. Yeah, we'll only do your serious ideas after you and I spend 10 minutes giggling hysterically because I said Keir boobs.
Also, I did like a fairly serious bit of journalism yesterday about Canvey Island.
You did.
Descended in talking about Jimmy Savile for.
You did. Well, yeah. Maybe the whole thing. Maybe this is art. Maybe it's a metaphor for British politics.
Yes, this is farce.
That's not what this is.
Yes, it is.
It's a tragedy.
Oh.
Okay. Goodbye.